Hi. Before we begin today's episode of Unscripted Podcast, please note that this episode discusses mental health and sensitive topics in recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month. If anything shared today feels triggering or overwhelming, we encourage you to seek support from a licensed counselor or therapist. For additional resources and professional help, please visit betterhelp.com. Again, all together, betterhelp.com. You are not alone. Thank you.
And so when you are in that space, you want to choose somebody, and just in general as human beings, we gravitate toward the familiar. And so if somebody is a Christian and you are a believer too, then you may feel more comfortable in opening up. So it's not necessarily wrong that you want somebody who is also a believer, but you shouldn't take the mindset of they can't do their job because they are not a believer.
I got
What's up, everyone? Real quick, we want to come back for is it our second season or third season?
I think it's third.
I don't know.
I think it's third.
I need to know because somewhere y'all put on the second season.
Yeah,
it's so this is our second season?
No, this is our third season, husband. I don't know. We're just going to say third season because he had second season on there.
I'm going to let y'all have it. So this is welcome back to our third season. Listen, I'm going to tell y'all something, man. I don't know how long y'all seen the video. I think they may have missed 1 week of videos. But, man, we have recorded in 3 weeks. And, man, it was a nice break. Did you enjoy your break?
I enjoyed my break. I think we needed that mental moment of stepping away from the podcast. But I will say shout out to all of the new followers, man. We appreciate y'all. Even those we see in the store. And like, man, I heard what y'all said at events. So we appreciate you and know that you're listening. It means the world to us. Know that you're rocking out. We need your encouragement. Like, share, give it to somebody. Let them know, especially on this episode. It's so, so important. I know we joke all the time, but this is more near and dear and very, very important. So you don't want to miss this.
So we have been running this, and I want to say, first of all, like my wife said, shout out to the 700 subscribers.
Yeah.
We want to break the 1,000 mark this season.
Somebody may be saying, hey, 700 ain't nothing. Yes, it is when you came from 2 to 3.
I almost said your mama.
But it's been good.
We worked our butt off to get to 700, and I think it's organic 700. We didn't buy.
Yeah, we didn't buy. Right.
We haven't really pushed anybody to do it. We just really just let it kind of evolve, and we had a spike. I think we jumped from like 500 to 700 like overnight.
Yes.
And so, but the key thing is for those of you listening for the first time, I want you to do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, but just know what you entered into. This is Unscripted with Clyde and Tanya. If I can kind of just summarize, this podcast is just about us trying our best to make sure you learn from our mistakes. We come to you with every lesson we learned the hard way, and we try to bring you the experience from our lenses. Do me a favor. As African Americans, we're known from learning things the hard way. We're known for doing things on our own.
I would not just say, I say anybody, because I know we have multiple people that watch this. I have some of my Caucasian friends, some of my Latino friends that be rocking out with us. So I would just say as a nation, as we are.
She's trying to make me politically correct. I must say, no, our African Americans. Because I know our African Americans, this is like shout out to everyone else, but I just know for a fact African Americans, we're prideful, man. And I want to just beat them up right now because it's us, it's my people. Even though I welcome all.
I don't agree.
She don't agree, but I'm going to just go ahead and say
That's okay.
my version. I just want to make sure our people and everyone, but mainly our people, are use this podcast. Say, you know what? I will declare. I will listen to someone else. I don't have to go through it the hard way. I will make my mistakes through people instead of me making them my own, and then I will catapult myself beyond where I am. So now we got through that little spiel of her trying to change my words. We're back to the podcast today. We got something a little different today. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
We've had one other guest on board, Daniel. Shout out to my boy D.
Yeah, shout out Daniel.
We will have Daniel back again one day.
Yes.
I think this season we're going to try to get more guests.
Yes.
I really want
to do that.
Get more guests. But I'm going to say a little bit about this young lady. And then I want you to say a little bit about this young lady, and then we're
Yeah.
gonna introduce this young lady.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to say what I gotta say because it's kind of like gonna catapult us into the conversation. I say you start off, and I'm gonna come back to mine.
Okay. First of all, I want to say about this person that you're gonna see here in a minute. Yes, we are waiting to get you pumped up to know who she is before we start talking and know Brother David ain't gonna show until we ready.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say to this person, number one, I thank God for her. And so I'm about to cry.
Yeah, I'm about to make me cry.
I thank God for her. It's not a lot of people that I trust. They say I'm a Cancer, I'm a June baby. And so it's not a lot of people that I trust with my life and sharing my most intimate moments that I don't even care because I know she would take it to her grave. And she has been that for us since the day she joined our church. We knew she wasn't going to be here long. We could not understand it and didn't understand why. But I never forget when she joined the church and it was after a certain time, she literally became our shoulder in the most hardest time as being pastors and leaders. Even though she was someone, and you'll find out later, but she was someone that we could trust with our life. And from that day into now, and I want to say that was back in 2012, maybe 2012. I don't remember the date, but it's been forever. And we went to school together. So it was even that. But I don't even think we talked like that in school. But when she came here, she trusted us as her leaders.
Yeah.
And then it went from that to God had her here for us on assignment for us, not for the people in the church, but she was literally here for us. It went from that to other stuff and on and on. And now she's with us in business and she's trusting us with her business. And I just thank God for you.
Yep.
You mean the world to me. And I don't know if you know that. I trust you with my life. And I don't do that with a lot of people.
Man.
And I'm so glad you're here today. And I can't wait. But go ahead.
And for me, it's like I never forget. So I've been through a lot of. She's bringing some tissue here.
She needs some tissue.
I think Alana's about to bring it. Put it on chat, and I said it already, but I'll make sure.
Okay.
But I have a lot of trauma in my life, Kim, and I never knew. It's like a child that's born.
He even said the name.
And oh well, hey,
that's okay. Go ahead.
It's like a child that's born in devastation, and everyone else feeling sorry for the child, but they don't know this child like this is just my life. You don't know you're living in trauma, right? And I never forget one day you were sitting in my desk, my office, and I started talking. And before I knew it, I went to an all-out therapy moment. I'm like, because I never said I didn't want therapy, but I always thought I didn't need therapy. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I went to an all-out therapy moment, man. And so that moment was a pinnacle moment in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I never trusted myself with no one else but my wife. And to know that I couldn't trust myself with no one else but my wife, and to allow myself to be trusted by you, that was, that day you were placed in my life in a different way than no one else was.
And I ain't never seen you even open up to nobody like that ever.
And it felt like, and she didn't even try to massage me or what's the word, exercise me or whatever. She didn't try. It just was comfortable. And then we trusted our church with you. We trusted our family with you. But about to kind of get to where we are today, about maybe 2024, it was towards I want to say around December. No, maybe around January, February, March, April, May, about August 2024, I had a mental break, a bad mental break. And I never forget, I was walking outside and I used this word, I don't know if this is the right word, I was weed eating my yard.
Yeah.
I think I say weed eating, cut my grass, but edging my yard. And the reason why the weed eating part is so important because I was going through some stuff, I was so angry, and this thing kept flashing across my face. In my mind, this thought kept flashing in my mind. And I would try to shake it. It flashed in my mind. There was a picture. It was a face of someone. I got so angry. And I was by the basketball goal. I pictured myself wrapping that weed eater around that basketball goal, like it was them. I got so angry that I really wanted to physically hurt them. And I've had people ask this question. Have you ever thought about hurting yourself or anyone else? Well, this is the first time consistently when I got on a conversation with some people, whether it was the VA or whoever, I had to answer yes. I have literally considered hurting someone. And that anger, I didn't know what to do with it. And I went in the house, I broke down crying that day. And I told my wife, I got to call someone. And that someone was you. So we won't go all too deep in right now. We'll go deep into that later. But the importance of mental health. This is May. We want to introduce to you our friend,
Yeah.
sister, confidant, everything in a box of chips, bag of chips. Kim Pruitt.
Yeah.
Give Kim Pruitt some love, y'all, if you can, real quick.
Look, I was going to say, heart it up.
Heart it
Like
up.
we live.
Shout it out, whatever you want to do. But welcome, Kim. Introduce yourself, tell a little about yourself and everything. Just feel free to be free on the Unscripted with Clyde and Tanya.
Okay. Well, thank you both for having me here. I got some tissue because y'all gonna make me cry. And I feel the same. Like both of you mean like so much to me. You have guided me, listened to me, and all the things. And so I do appreciate. I feel like both of you are a safe place to land.
Wow.
And so I'm grateful that I have the two of you in my life as well. So I'm Kim Pruitt, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm also a clinical supervisor. And I am currently in private practice, where I see couples and families, and I also see individuals, and I specialize in like relationships and people who deal with like trauma, a trauma history.
Mhm.
So,
Wow. Well, I know that you couldn't be a therapist for me
right.
because it was a conflict of interest.
Yes.
And I think I got some bootleg opportunities there.
That's what it was I was looking for. I didn't have those
Yeah,
bootleg
you tried to
opportunities.
So even though you can't be one for me, you are a family therapist.
Right.
Could
Yeah.
you be a therapist to my family?
I could not.
Come on, man.
Golly.
We got
It's
But it's
still
like
a
a conflict of
interest.
interest. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, as an African American, like I said, I went through some horrible times, and it was tough, Kim,
Right.
and it still is. I'm still navigating through it.
Yeah.
I thought there was a place called healed in mental health because it's kind of like a contradicting statement. Mental health, like you think it's a place of healed, but I don't think it's a place of healed.
Yeah.
I think for it to be a place of healed, that means a military person who lost a leg, one day that leg's gonna grow back. And I think therapy, that means you gonna be able to undo what happened.
Mhm.
In therapy, I'm finding out you don't undo what happened. It never is healed. You're always coping. Am I right?
So partially, yeah. When you think about healing, you got to think about it on a like a continuum. It is like an ongoing thing for, especially if there are deep wounds, because we like to think of the healing journey as linear, like it's just this straight line. But healing is you going, you ups, you downs. You might come back here, you might go. Healing is and it's not to say that you don't heal in some parts, but you can, as you evolve in life, can be triggered by things that take you back and open up the wound. It's like if you have a cut and you stitched up, wound looks good, and somebody else comes back and cuts you again in that same spot, and it can open up,
Okay.
or something else happens, like there's a death in the family, and then somebody else passes away like later on, and it triggers that wound. And so you're continually throughout life having to go through things, because life is ups and downs. There are highs and there are lows, and you're gonna heal and move on, but then other stuff is gonna happen. So it's like you are continually
Healing.
That makes
healing.
sense.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna have to be careful on this podcast because I'm going to a therapist.
You better not.
I bring you back in.
Because
She said, I
man,
already thank
you don't know how many questions came to my mind I want to ask. But so, and I want to make sure me and my wife chime back and forth a lot on this. But this, I guess, the first question. This is our audience. We're trying to let people know the importance of mental health. Let's kind of talk about that. What is mental health? That's first. Kick off. What is mental health?
Yeah.
So mental health, basically, one is your health. Like a lot of people just think it's like this spooky, mysterious, especially like younger people nowadays look at it as, okay, yeah, this is my health, and they are more conditioned to believe like they can benefit from therapy. But the older generations, like it is your health, one thing, and it is basically like the psychological, the social, emotional well-being. It's a state of being, like your well-being um, making sure you have the capacity to be well in those areas so that your daily functions are not impaired. Because,
Yeah.
like with your relationships, it can impair your work life balance, like all types of things. So just basically, so your life is not impaired in those areas, like
Yeah.
social, emotional, psychological, mental.
Gotcha, gotcha,
I
gotcha.
know for me, I think I didn't become aware of my mental health until like 2018.
Mm-mm.
Like I had went through life from a kid, being raped,
Yeah.
being controlled by other
Right.
people, and it did not hit me until 2018 that
Wow.
I needed someone
Yeah.
to help me. And I think if we don't tap into that as individuals, become aware that we're changing,
Yeah.
that we're no longer the same. And I didn't realize until I got into therapy that I was dealing with not the adult Tanya, but the little
The little
girl
girl. Yeah.
Tanya, that the rejection and
Yeah.
all of this that I and things I allowed to me from other men that was before after my husband. No, before my husband. Lord, not after Jesus. Wait a minute. Scratch that.
Session has just changed. Come
No, I meant before my husband,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize that all of that baggage
Yeah.
that came, and then now to add on becoming from a minister's wife to a pastor's wife,
Right.
and the trauma of that, because
Mhm.
people don't realize that when you go to different transitions, there's different traumas.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I didn't become aware of that.
Yeah.
What is the importance of really becoming aware of your mental health and where you are? Like,
Yeah.
when should people know when
That's
it's
the question.
time to
To go to
hire
the therapist.
and invest in yourself with a therapist?
Okay. So, man, I love that question. When you notice, and it's not, I'm give the simple answer, but it's a little bit more complex. When you notice that your daily functions are being impaired,
Mm,
and you can't pinpoint, like a lot of times when people, they are noticing, oh, my relationship is not like it used to be,
mm,
or I'm not showing up at work like I used to.
yeah.
And so that's a part of being mentally healthy,
Yeah.
is like if something is going on where you are impaired in a way where you just can't show up, or you don't have the capacity that you used to. And a lot of times people, it works for them until it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they have developed skills and normalized things so much, and when it doesn't work for them anymore, they just continue to push through.
Mm,
And when you notice there has been a shift and something is going on, if it ain't, you get checked out by your physical doctor and you realize, oh, it ain't actually physical, then, but I can't pinpoint it,
mm-hmm.
then most definitely go get you some help. Go seek out a therapist.
Yeah.
If it's a social aspect, emotional, spiritual, like things that are going on in people's lives in those areas, um, you need to, if there is an impairment there, you need to go see somebody.
Okay. It's so
Yeah.
good because, two things I want to bring up. Make sure I don't forget. You have something to say?
Go ahead.
Make sure I don't forget this part about, daggone it. I just remember it. But I never forget whenever I was going through my shift, right?
Mhm.
So right now I am a veteran, and luckily the VA has recognized my mental
Mhm.
struggles, and they have attached some of it to my service connections.
Okay.
Thank God for that, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember when I became impaired. So as I was traveling a lot for the GE, I got to the point to where it was hard for me to fly. The panic attacks will overcome me, the anxiety. I never get sitting in the couch watching TV, and I would go through these bad panic attacks. Like my heart would start racing,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking like something wrong with me, right? And didn't realize that this whole time it is something wrong with me. But I'm thinking it's heart problems or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And it got to the point where I couldn't travel like I needed to. It was really impaired. My performance was going down. But what happened was I had been masking a lot of stuff to where it was slowly unraveling.
Mhm.
And the reality that I was trying to create for who I was becoming aware that it wasn't the real reality, and it was hard to cope with it. And it was starting to pop up everywhere. I lost my job I walked away from my job because it became really unstable. I was very unstable,
Right.
and mentally, and people, it's not so people are like, what does that mean unstable? Like she's saying, you just not who you was. And I never forget we had a church service here, and one young lady brought up something about pride and how pride can do all these things, and kind of found out by in that service, it was one of the most greatest revelations. It was pride that was stopping me from getting the help, but it's not just pride that was stopping me from getting help. It was pride that was causing me to need the help.
Right.
Because what happened, whatever reality I was creating for myself, it was a alternative reality to what was real for me. And it was like having these walls that was up in the room, and they kept falling. I'm trying to bring them back up. Like, no, the falling of the wall is, this is what's true. Me bringing the wall back up, this is my false reality.
Right.
And what happened was, the reality was wider before. It was, I can go to my certain, I almost said something, I can go to certain places and the reality was there. I can go there to work and church, and now what's happening, church is not the reality I thought it was. Family wasn't the reality and all these places now becoming really closed in till my only reality is home.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering, is this even a reality? And this started affecting my sexual life. We had a video on ED.
Right.
Because I was having performance anxiety. So it was a lot going on, and I could not cope. I can see how somebody can lose a freaking mind.
Yeah.
It was hard, man.
Can I say
Please.
this?
Yeah.
So a lot of times, especially childhood, when you grow up and with a developing brain, you are interpreting life through your interactions, and you're learning and you're growing like as a child, and you normalize because this is the way it has, and also begin to develop protective parts.
Yeah.
Like, and when you mention pride can be a protective part. It builds this wall to keep you like in these realities that you had. And so when you think about it, not it doesn't just go away. You have to actually work through it and process through it. And so if you don't deal with it, it just gets stored. And so what you start to experience with the anxiety attacks and things is the manifestation of stored trauma.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's good.
and so
Yeah.
that's what happens to a lot of people. They just go and go, and then all of a sudden they start having panic attacks, or they anxiety attacks, or begin to experience depression, or just generalized anxiety, and they feel like it's out of nowhere because they have normalized their life. And like,
so
damn,
long.
when did I start having this?
Yeah.
And the reality is, it's been stored up this whole time, and now it like I said earlier, like you go until you can't. And then that's when most people want to seek out help. It's like, whoa, I
Yeah.
can't
I can't
do
go
this,
no more.
go no
Yeah.
more. And so now I go get help. But I encourage people, like, if you know you have a trauma history, or you know things have happened and you just not quite settled with it, before you hit that wall, go talk to somebody.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I want to say this because it's so much. I was trying to put it in my phone before she. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I got a question because it's like, so we're in this age right now, right? To where people will over sensitize things.
Okay.
And I used to be real about that, about mental health. Like, okay, everybody got mental health now. Everybody is. And I realize what mental health is at. You know, are you noticing a oversensitizing of mental health? Or is there a such thing as oversensitizing mental health?
So I wouldn't say oversensitizing. Or you mean it? Can you kind of
Oh
expand?
yeah, because like
When you say
like
oversensitized?
my daughter has something she says now, like she'll do something and she says, "Oh, it's because it's overstimulating," and the word's been used quite a bit. Like, it's overstimulating. This is overstimulating. That's overstimulating, and everything. And then, or this, you're affecting my mental health. You're this. You're this. You're this. And it's like,
And we didn't grow up with that.
No,
and I
we
think
didn't.
that's what he's saying. Like, we didn't grow up
Okay.
with mental health. We grew up just keep going.
Yeah.
Like, keep moving. Like, you just going through life. This is a part of life. Well, now
Everybody.
everyone is coming aware that, wait, this is a problem.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're saying, right?
Are there some people that's actually, do you see a overuse of it to where people's like, they're leaning on it too much and it's like, it's creating this big old,
it's becoming a crutch.
and almost like a limitation. It's like, and you, especially in your, because what happened as a father, I want to make sure I don't become insensitive to my children, insensitive to my marriage. But do you catch people sensitizing to the point to where they crying wolf?
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what happens, and this you'll see this through normal flow in life. What you are seeing right now is the pendulum that swings. So you know how on those clocks you seen those clocks that
Oh
go
yeah,
back and
back and
forth.
forth, the grandfather clocks.
Yeah, and so you see that little hand just swinging back and forth. So one extreme is nobody dealt with
Talks
it
about
well.
yeah.
And then the other extreme is, oh, we are so aware here.
Yeah.
And so over here where nobody dealt with it, now we're so aware. This is not to minimize like people's experience over here.
That's
But
good.
one thing that has created like when we talk about the overuse of terms or is social media. Social media plays a big role because everybody
part.
is a therapist, everybody is a counselor now. Everybody giving their
Everybody's a
input.
pastor now.
And so, yeah.
Everybody's a leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about overstimulation, overstimulation is a neutral word. It's neutral. It is in the hand and it's real. Like people get overstimulated. We didn't have a term for it back when
Right. When we were,
when
yeah.
we weren't talking.
What is overstimulated? Because this is how my daughter uses it, and I caught myself. I had to apologize. I'm like, oh my god, you just use the words you hear. But she said, well, the reason why I don't like getting my nails done because I become overstimulated.
Okay, so overstimulation is when you get flooded like for example, if I have okay, here's a good example. Have you ever heard of somebody when they driving down the street and they get lost and they turn down the radio?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, you do
Yeah.
that. That's a
Okay.
form of overstimulation.
Ah.
So
gotcha. I get
because
overstimulated a lot.
yeah,
Why?
because your capacity to be present in that moment with what is needed is taken up.
Yeah,
And so what you need, like you're getting input from the sound of the radio. And the sound of the radio is overfilling your capacity
yeah.
to be
That's
present.
good.
You
Girl.
need to
I like
focus.
that. Yeah,
And so overstimulation, it happens. We didn't have a term for it. So now people are
overusing it.
they are saying they may or may not use it correctly.
Yeah,
Like
I'm not agreeing
yeah,
with that.
yeah,
But
I'm not necessarily agreeing
Yes.
I get
with
it. I get it. I get it. I
overusing
get it.
it,
I get it.
but they have
Because another
they
one
have
is
the terminology now.
another one people use a lot because everybody's a therapist
Hmm.
is calling people narcissists.
Oh no, I will agree on that because
Okay.
narcissist is a clinical disorder. It is a mental health disorder. It's a mental illness. And there are certain criteria that people have to meet in order to be diagnosed with being a narcissistic personality disorder. And just because somebody
A
is
mama's boy.
or mean or does not necessarily mean that they meet the criteria for being a narcissist. Now, I will say this, when we look at narcissism, and this can be with any disorder, because there is a criteria you have to meet, certain things you have to meet in order to be diagnosed
Okay.
as a narcissist. It doesn't mean that people don't have narcissistic
Ways.
tendencies.
Okay.
That's
You
good.
better teach us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
And so people come in, oh, they're a narcissist. Let's really back
Really
in
back,
and
yeah.
let's talk through this to see what's really going on.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Baby, you didn't hold me today. Because I'm quick to say, you, baby, that's a narcissistic spirit.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they don't meet, they may have, but they may not meet the criteria to be diagnosed. So you have to be careful when you're using terms that that fall under disorders and calling people, oh, you're a narcissist. Oh, you you got OCD, or you this, and labeling people with those things.
I think so. Okay, let me ask you a question. I'm sorry, you got something?
Go ahead.
I got a question then. So, in this, because I'm thinking, because I remember when you was going to be a therapist.
Oh, I was in school when I was here.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember that.
So, I'm asking you a question. Do you think so? If this is the extreme of not needing, people not doing the therapy. This is the extreme people doing the therapy. Where do you think you were when you was going to school? Do you think we were in the middle? Because I'm thinking therapy now is like one of the highest, sought out.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you was going to school, it wasn't something that was a highly sought out thing. Do you think?
No, not at all. So here is just a little disclosure about what happened to me. So when I graduated, got married, and we moved, my husband got a new job. We moved, and uh, I could not find a job. And that's what opened me up to starting my own private practice. I wanted to eventually, but I couldn't find a job. Long story short, I was reaching out, and people just weren't hiring therapists at the time because there was not a need. And now there is a
It
huge
wasn't a
need.
demand. It was a need, but
Yeah, it
demand.
wasn't a
Yeah.
demand for it.
Yeah.
And so, right. And so I started my own practice. It wasn't until, and here was the tipping point. You remember when there started to be all the school shootings, like
Yes.
big, and so that was the tipping point
Wow.
when there was you guys remember, there was a school shooting, and I actually got hired on at one of the schools.
Uh-huh.
And that was the first time that they actually allowed mental health. Like, normally you had to have a background in teaching to be in a position, like in a counseling position,
Okay.
and in the school system.
Mhm.
But they opened up a whole mental health department, and that wasn't normal for them to they opened up a whole mental health department within the school
I remember
to
that.
deal
That's
with
the first
that.
gig that my wife got.
Right.
I'm
Oh,
we talked about that a lot.
yeah.
That was
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
change. We have a lot of people who change their life, and you were definitely one of those ingredients in the cake. Some things was icing, but some things were ingredients,
Yeah.
and you were one of the ingredients. By giving her that chance, let us know that dang, this is a real world. That
Yeah.
financing is there to do things that you already do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to completely answer your question, like when that shift took place, and I think that was around 2018.
2018.
Yep.
Yeah, 2018, a shift started to take place, and people
Mm.
began to seek out, they began to notice the importance of mental health. And then 2020 happened.
Yeah, I
And
was just
then
gonna
it
ask
was
that. Yeah.
just, it was
Yeah.
like an explosion. Like, and
Wow.
so I think when I was here back in 2014, 15, around those times,
Mhm.
when I was here, we were like right at uh, right there. Nobody knew that this other stuff
It's about to happen.
was about to happen.
Yeah.
So I don't think, if things like that wouldn't have transpired, we probably would have still
Then where we were. Gotcha.
been where we were.
Okay, I'm about to shift. So, and we're going to come back. But when you were talking, I remember, I don't know if you remember, I know you remember, when God gave you a word of that shift, like that shift in that word that God gave you. And I do want those that are watching to know that not only is she a counselor, but she's a believer.
Yeah.
I always think it's very, very important. Like, if I'm going to have someone speak into my life and hear my
And
problems,
she's a spiritually
I need you to be a
gifted believer.
spiritual counselor to be able to listen. Nothing against nobody else, but it's just something about
Something else I
having
wanna
that
talk about.
spiritual counselor. But it's like when that shift happened, I remember that letter that God gave you to give, and we read it over the church. You remember that?
Yeah.
Years ago. But it kind of reminded me when you were talking,
Yeah.
it was like it was a shift coming and some things about to happen in the land that was getting ready to happen. And anyway, I'm not trying to go too deep, but I just want to say that part. God gave her a word for us, for the ministry. And the word was literally talking about a shift that was about to take place, and get ready. There's something coming, get ready. And I don't think it was just for a new destiny, but it was just for what was happening in the earth, what was about to happen. And I believe that was a time when you were, just starting with the therapist, and now to see where God is taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my, it's like that God gave you came to pass.
It
Yeah.
did.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
You can't tell me it's not a God.
Oh.
That God gave you came to pass.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to stop and say that,
Yeah.
like when you were talking, I'm like, dang, God, you're so amazing.
Yeah.
To
Since
see
from
that come to
beginning to end.
pass and come to this point to where, like in 2018, I would have never thought how important it was.
I thought, I ain't gonna lie.
for
I never
me.
forgive. I'm thinking she come. This is me. Don't judge me. I love you.
I'm not.
I'm thinking
don't
she's
judge
gonna be a
me.
therapist. I'm like, she ain't gonna be a high demand. Okay then. 'Cause I thought it was. I mean, I'm like.
Well, tell the truth.
I mean, like, because you hear people talk about, I'm gonna be it's a big one. I used to hate. I'm gonna be a what they do? What people doing the design? The
Graphic design.
graphic design. Be a graphic
Yeah.
designer. I'm like,
Yeah.
yep, you won't find a job.
Yeah.
You know, and so when you said therapist, I was literally at that point. I'm thinking to myself, that's not a huge thing. I mean, you had to me, a therapist would be a person who've been doing it for so long, and they had to build clientele over 20 years, and it was a slow growth industry.
Yeah.
And now that's no longer the case. It's not a slow growth industry. It's a,
Shoot, I
plug and
tried
play
to get
industry.
somebody to go to her. I called to see if she was available. She was like, I'm sorry, I'm booked. I have no
Oh, I
availability.
wasn't taking new
I'm
clients.
taking new clients.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, do it then. You go, girl.
Yeah.
I think it's so important. Even in my now, I would say this, because I want to talk about this. First, I want to talk about one thing, which is the importance of leaders. Because you got people out. Go ahead, bitch.
Because you said,
Oh.
I want to come back.
Okay, go ahead.
One question.
Go ahead.
Keep write yours down, though.
No, I was getting ready to go
Okay.
into it.
Because I got to ask a question. Because while we on one thing real quick, we talked
Okay.
about the people being the industry, everybody being these therapists and everything, right? Hope for that, right?
Okay.
Oh, Lord.
Me and my wife, we big on this because God has called us to pastor.
Right.
And we used to say we did, counseling. We stopped doing that.
Oh, talk about it.
We stopped talking about saying we do counseling, right? Because I didn't go to school for counseling. I didn't go to school for preaching. I went to the School of Hard Knock Life and I got a whole bunch of testimonies I call sermons. But talk about this because you are a believer. And we brought this up because you did say you're a believer. And you're a believer. Talk about the occupational hazards of pastors not indicating the difference between therapy and spiritual advising.
Oof.
Oh man, that's a big one. Oh wow. Because and I say that I don't know if y'all heard about Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. That okay. It kind of plays into
Okay, talk
the
to us.
same thing because she is a coach and she has a doctorate in psychology, but she is unlicensed. And so she went on, and I think her message was very harmful and kind of deceptive because even though she has a doctorate in psychology, there you get your degree, but there is a certain path that you have to take to become licensed and to keep it's like I got the school now what you still have to continue on with the education doing the work. And so with her, and nothing against coaches, absolutely love coaches. I think everybody has a lane and you need to know
it.
know
And you
your
need to
lane.
know your lane. Yeah.
And so when you think about the spiritual advising, when you are counseling and you are uncovering the deep wounds, there are certain things as a therapist, you're not just back and forth it's just not like a back and forth conversation. There are things that you have been trained on to know, oh, this is harmful if I go here. And you may not necessarily, and it may seem just like kind of simple or like these small little things, but you may not necessarily know that as a spiritual, just as a spiritual leader.
You wake up
like
something that you didn't know that you were dealing with.
right, and then the person doesn't know how to handle it, and then you sitting there with something you didn't woke up, and you send them out, and you may tell them go pray about it, go fast. And nothing wrong with praying and fasting.
Come on.
Like you want to be able to pray and fast as a believer about things, but what skills, what tools, if this person would, when we talk about adaptive and maladaptive coping skills, like, do you know that they have adaptive or maladaptive coping skills?
I don't know
You
what that
know
what
means.
that is.
Okay,
But
so these
exactly.
are adaptive
Yeah.
coping skills are those things that like when you are processing through emotional trauma, when a wound has been open, you use those. It's like the processing is the fight. You're in the fight, doing the work. You're working through the emotions, confronted with the sitting with them, working through them, challenging your thoughts, doing all the things. The coping skills is like, oh, I need a drink of water, like the break to replenish and reflect and refresh. So adaptive coping skills help you to replenish, refresh, relax. Like I can take a break from it to get back in the fight. And so you may not maladaptive coping skills are things like that they don't bring about replenishment. They leave you all worse off, like drugs, alcohol, even something that looks adaptive like oh,
Working out or
working out or going to the job. Oh, I'm just a workaholic. No, you distracted
you're distracting.
from the real issue, and or you avoid
I'm asking as therapist. If you can't explain it to me, you can't talk, you can't counsel me.
Oh my God, that's good.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. You may not necessarily know, and when you come to therapy, you get the history of the people, and you help them to develop those things in a way so when the wounds are open, they have the capacity. You help build their capacity. You help them to be able to challenge thoughts because everything, emotions are valid. Like you have your emotions, they are valid, but everything you think is not true. And that's a myth. Just because you think it does not necessarily mean it's the truth. You help them to challenge those cognitive distortions that may create a reality that's just not the reality
Yeah.
that it is there.
Wow.
So, go ahead.
I'm
Go ahead.
reminded of the scripture, I don't know which scripture it is, Pastor Man over there.
That man over there.
I don't know what the script, but it's a scripture where it's talking about how we always think we're right.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they're right. No matter what, you think you're right. And it's
Yeah.
like going to a counselor not shows that it kind of unfolds that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I just thought about that. But
Yeah.
go ahead, what you was gonna say.
I don't know. This is a lot.
This is a lie, but it's so good.
So this is the thing, right? So you got all these pastors out there. As a therapist, that's what I was going with. As a believing therapist, right? Because I know a lot of times scientists have a hard time believing because they can't compare spiritual and science together, right? As a therapist, I know that you know for a fact that you can listen to a man preach. But as a therapist, do you have a hard time believing that pastors should be even having interaction with the members beyond the sermon?
No, I don't. I think pastors do have a role in spiritual guide.
I got another question to that, but keep going. I got another question I want to add to that, but you say they have a part in.
Yeah, I do think because there are when we talk about therapy. So I I am a counselor who is Christian, and so when we talk about elements of just your faith that is necessary to help you like move through the processing that you're doing, because I myself as a therapist have been to counseling, and my faith was a huge part. My counselor is the one who pointed that out. She said it seems like when you are doing your best and your capacity is at its best is when the faith part is in line. My counselor, who is not, she's not a Christian at all. She pointed that out to me,
Wow.
and I realized when we did that timeline, it was always when my faith part. So I think that when we as believers, you don't like it works together in harmony.
Yeah.
And we have spent a lot of time trying to make them separate. But what I was saying everywhere, what it talks about in the Bible, like there are one body, many parts.
Right.
Yeah.
And so everybody has a role as pastors, spiritual leaders. You pour into and give spiritual guidance uh in in the capacity within your like
Gotcha. But do
that.
we? But do we?
What you mean?
What
Do
do
we
you
know
mean?
our limits? Do we know our capacity?
I think the only way that we don't know our limits is when we haven't become into our own awareness of our own thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? As a pastor, it's like
It came back on.
I believe it wasn't because there's some things I've said as a leader. That's what I was going to say earlier. As a leader, there's some things I've said that it's like, ooh, I wish I could take that back
Because
now.
go ahead.
No, I want to say this though, because as a leader, if you don't become aware with your own issues or your own problem, or if you don't take care of your own mental health, you won't be aware of others.
And you may
I
be
felt like that's
scarred.
what happened to me.
You may bleed on somebody. Because I think the problem is, I think we know our limits, but we don't know when we're bleeding.
Yeah, I don't think sometimes we don't know our limits because we haven't tapped into us.
Yeah.
I know for me, before 2018, I didn't know my limits.
Yeah.
I would bleed. I'm live on the social media bleeding. Like I had no business doing that when I should have been pouring versus bleeding. But I needed to be poured into.
Yeah.
And I didn't take the time to do that.
Is that so? I don't have a degree. You know, I have a degree, but my degree is in business. I have a degree in psychology.
Yeah.
Not psychology. I have a degree in theology, seminary school. But even I don't think seminary school and theology even offers psychology as a underlining. What's that? A minor. I don't think they offer it to where I don't think it's like a requirement for you to be a pastor. You need to have some type of psychological background. So with that being the case, I think to be, especially an overseer and shepherd of pastors, I need to know what are some minimum approaches we should be taking with people to not open up those wounds.
Yeah.
You know, because what we'll do as pastors, we'll shake up something and then call it demonic.
That's the part. That's baby, right? That's the part. Immature. I've done that before. That is a demonic. That's the devil. That is a spirit of rebellion. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And not knowing that it was you as the pastor that really woke up something in you because of the challenging of your pastorship.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's like
it may not even a session, just how you operate with people.
Yes, that too.
Narcissistic pastor.
Oh God, go ahead, Kim. Yes.
So this is what I've found in my experience. There's when we think about, to answer your question about do we know our limits, and when we wake up something, I think when you realize somebody coming to you with an issue in a therapy session, you have to, and this is a part of the training, to know. And I had a supervisor, she told me this when I very first started out, and it was a game changer. She said, you can only go as deep with your clients as you are willing to go with yourself.
Ooh.
And so it was a game changer for me.
Man.
And so I was like, oh man, I need to work on some stuff. So I got in counseling. And it reminded me
I gotta cut you off because that means you got all these pastors out here shaking folks up and they not willing to even expose.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's why when we talk about dealing with your own body, like it is a requirement in therapy, and that's the importance of being a licensed. You have to check your biases, because you can show up in a way and you have some stuff, and it gives you an eye for, is this my stuff or is this your stuff? In real time, while you're sitting there, I'm constantly having to navigate somebody else's hurt and recognizing if this is mine or is it this? And that takes training. Like that's why it's important. Go to somebody who
what's the word? Is it called deflecting? Or whatever. If I'm
projecting.
Am I projecting on? That's
sick. Deep.
They can make lead us sicker than what they came because you gave them some of your demons some of your issues. I'm calling them some of your issues.
Yeah.
Kim, this is so. This is good, by the way.
Okay. There's some good information. You
Because
blessing my whole soul.
I've been pastoring now. This is our 16 going on 17 year pastoring, and we don't do therapy anymore. We don't do sit downs with people, and
when we do marriage, we say marriage advisors.
Yes, advisors.
We're not here to be your marriage counselor.
Right.
We can be your advisors, and we're here if you need us as an advisor.
Well, listen, you know why I think
not
we
a
can
counselor.
do that? I think we do it because we become aware of all our inadequacies.
Yes, of course.
That is an intelligent response to our awareness of how ignorant that we have been.
Because I remember we would say, "Oh, we're in counseling session. Oh, we're counseling this person. Oh, even with me as a life coach, right? Because I'm a certified life coach. I had to learn after going through my own, tapping into my own, that I was literally becoming a counselor to these people that I don't have. I don't
in
qualify
this season where people are highly seeking out help.
Yes.
They coming to folk who ain't got the help.
I had to tell a lady, I had to release her from my class because I couldn't help her.
Yeah.
But it was, again, me becoming aware with me and letting her know, I'm sorry, that I want to encourage you to go to a counselor. And I found some online and gave her options. So I didn't just leave her out there. But here are your options. These are some people. Just go to them. Because I realize what you need is deeper than what I can give.
Right.
And I think when we learn that as life coaches, pastors, if you got a doctor's degree but don't have you're not licensed to do what you do, I think you gotta, that's why I said as leaders, you have so many leaders out here. You have a lot of people out here that are being influencers to other people. Even if you're not trying to be an influencer. My daughter told me this. She said, and it didn't hit me until I've been doing social media since 2015. But my daughter told me last year, she said, Mama, you're like an influencer. I said, what? But I'm finding out I'm at the doctor's office. These ladies in the doctor's office know me from social media. But it didn't hit me, dawn on me. Tanya, you got to make sure that you're careful of what you put out here, because there's a lot of people putting a lot of stuff out here that I want to make sure that I'm authentic with what I put out here as a leader. And making sure I deal with me. I always say leaders need, Brother Debbie, you know my thing, leaders need a leader. I now say that every leader need an accountability, not just a spiritual covering, but an accountability, someone that can hold you accountable, that you can, because we carry a lot as leaders. I think that's important. But anyway.
So what do you think so far about the conversation?
Oh man, I love this. And can I say something what you said about accountability? Please. One of the things when I brought up Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is she was in a sense celebrating the fact that she is not licensed and that it doesn't limit her when it comes to the ethical boards and so when you think about that, is in a sense is saying I can go pretty much do what I want to do,
right?
Because I don't have no covering, I don't have no accountability,
right?
And that's a problem. When like you need that accountability, because there are some things when you talk about knowing your competency, like we can't just even though I'm a mental health professional. If it's something that I am not competent in, I can't continue on working with this person.
No.
I have to refer them out.
Right.
Yeah. He's coming back out
So,
again. We're having some technical difficulties.
But no, you're right. I think I used to make statements in my social media groups that as if I didn't need to go and get the extra. You understand what I'm trying to say? Like I remember times I made immature statements of, listen to me. This is what you're supposed to do, when I'm not the only person there's other people that you can listen to, even as a pastor, as a leader, like listen to me and I never forget trying to keep other people from people when what I got to give and what they have to give, two different things. And I think you have to learn it as a leader that leaders need leaders, but also other people. You got to be willing to be under other people.
You're right.
Right.
And the thing is, I'm noticing after hearing you talk for a while, something I noticed that we say all the time, and now I'm second guessing my thinking process. We used to say that, and my wife, I heard her say not too long ago. We say something like, make sure if you get a therapist, get you a believing therapist. And I'm thinking about this, right? When I go to the doctor, I don't ask them are they Christians.
Right.
I know when I go to a lawyer,
Well, fix me then.
I
know,
said
you're
too.
right.
I said too though, because
Yeah.
when I go to a lawyer, I'm not asking if you're a believing lawyer.
Yeah.
I just need you to know law.
Yeah.
I just need you to know your medicine. Are we doing the wrong thing when it comes to asking people to make sure that they have a believing therapist?
So I don't think you can necessarily look at it from a lens of right and wrong when we talk about, because everybody is different. And when you think about who is a good fit for whoever, if you desire, like if you feel like the connection, because you got to remember when people are coming into therapy, 9 times out of 10 is one of the most vulnerable moments. And so when you are in that space, you want to choose somebody, and just in general as human beings, we gravitate toward the familiar. And so if somebody is a Christian and you are a believer too, then you may feel more comfortable in opening up. So it's not necessarily wrong that you want somebody who is also a believer, but you shouldn't take the mindset of they can't do their job because they are not a believer.
I got it.
But us as spiritual leaders, when we say that, we're creating a bias. We're
Mm,
creating maybe even a limitation,
yeah.
because now they're going in and they probably moving the whole crowd out the way, looking for a selective few.
Right.
We need to bring them back involved and put them in
Yeah.
the process. So I
Because
think
it's different. It's
yeah.
very different.
I think we got to watch that. You know, because like I say, it's not
Yeah.
just you. I've said it before.
I've said it, yeah,
especially in the
multiple
marriages.
times.
You know,
Yeah.
get you a marrying person.
Make sure you get a spiritual one.
Yeah.
And we're telling people that. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. It doesn't take away from people being able to, because my therapist, she doesn't, like, she's not a Christian, but she was able to help me in a way that when she pointed that out to me, and that's the thing about when you show up unbiased
I love
in
it.
in a space. And
Yeah.
so when it comes to
And when it comes to bias,
Yeah.
yeah, when you are sitting there with someone and they are challenging their own biases, whether they are a Christian, like if my therapist wasn't a professional and she would have taken her own stuff, and when I'm going over my timeline and talking about my faith and how important my faith, and her not being a believer, she could have took that and say, "Oh, that's not necessary. You know, you're doing too much in this area," or maybe. But she looked at the context of my life and what was helpful for me, and what I needed to navigate, and she identified that for me.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah.